The Spider-Man Far From Home trailer dropped yesterday. Colton and Lainey have not seen it. I saw a little piece of the beginning and that's all, and I stopped when I realized what it was, and we're gonna watch it with you live. Ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
That was so good. Hey, sorry I'm late. Happy.
That's Happy.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
He's Iron Man's
Yes, it is.
driver and bodyguard.
What just happened?
He's flirting with Aunt May.
Planning a trip?
Going to Europe. It's a school trip.
Did you get your passport?
Peter Parker here to pick up a passport, please.
Mini toothpaste? Pack your suit.
I just want to go on my trip with my friends. Europe doesn't really need a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You look really pretty.
Therefore, I have value.
No, that's not
I'm
right.
messing with you. You look pretty too.
I just want to spend some time with MJ. I think she
Ah,
really likes me.
Venice.
Reminds me when I first fell in love. I had just finished my food coffee. So nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man.
It's Nick Fury from the Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Put some clothes on. Let's go for a ride.
Is he gonna be okay like that?
Might want to turn him over so he doesn't swallow his tongue.
I think Nick Fury just hijacked our summer vacation.
Awesome.
Ah, cool suit.
You got gifts, Parker.
Those are the elementals,
To do.
the bad guys.
Are you going to step up or not? You're all alone. Your friends are in trouble.
That's a cool suit too.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Whoa.
So that's the water elemental. Yeah.
You don't want any part of this.
That's Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Now, he's usually a villain, but he looks like a hero there, like a superhero. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like a Earth, but it spins around and
He's
Spider-Man.
like Iron Man and Thor rolled into one.
He's no Spider-Man.
What is it with you and Spider-Man?
But he looks out for the neighborhood, has a dope suit, and I really respect him. What's up, dickwad?
That was good. Okay, so let me get you guys' impressions first. Lainey, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought there were a lot of funny parts in it when they started doing the war type of thing with the water and stuff. I thought that was really cool how they did it because they obviously didn't do an actual water thing.
Right.
But it looked like real water and it was super cool.
Right. The villains, and Brazil had a Comic-Con, so they got to see this trailer a little while ago, and it was released that the villains are the elementals. The elementals refer to the elements of the earth. So there's 4 villains. One is water, one is earth, one is fire, one is wind. They were in the comics anyway. I'm assuming that's what it is here. So that would be the water element, and there was a fire element in there that we saw too. So that would be the villains. Along with Mysterio, who was in there, who is usually a villain but looked like a hero, but I have a thought on that, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. What else? Anything else?
I don't know. I just thought it was very funny.
You like that?
So
You-
I liked a lot of the scenes also.
Cool.
I liked it.
Good. Colton, what about
I
you?
liked how that guy had this green stuff and he like.
That's Mysterio, right. And that's actually being played by Jake Gyllenhaal. And way back when the Spider-Man film started, the Sam Raimi directed Spider-Man films, Tobey Maguire was the guy who played Spider-Man. But he was in the first film. Then in the second film, he was actually going to be replaced with Jake Gyllenhaal. He was going to leave the film series, and Jake Gyllenhaal was going to take over Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And that's the guy that's actually playing Mysterio in this film. And like I said, he looks a little bit like a hero. He's coming in like a superhero there. He looks great in the part. He's dressed like a Roman soldier. That's kind of the outfit, and that's where the character takes its evolution from. It's more of a European-based kind of thing. Interesting, because they cast an American actor in it, but that's beside the point. What else?
And the suitcase said something, but I don't know what it said.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that in a minute. So I'll get to the suitcase was a good spot, and we'll talk about that. Anything else, you guys? Okay, a couple things. The suitcase, which you're talking about, they closed up on it, and it's hard to see, but it had initials. And the initials were BFP, and it was an old suitcase. So my assumption would be that was for Peter's Uncle Ben Parker. I don't know what the middle name is, and we'd have to try to look that up, or if he had a middle name. But it's obviously not Aunt May's suitcase. It's an old suitcase, not a modern suitcase. So it makes sense that maybe it was Uncle Ben's. And that particular shot had no other reason to be there. There was nothing that they were showing in the suitcase that I could see. So
Right.
it was pretty much a close-up of the initials, maybe for that reason. So that would be part of it. Another thing, and maybe we can get Mr. Jeff to put it up on the screen that I noticed, is when he went for his passport photo. I specifically, when he was there for the passport, I looked and I was trying to see something specifically. So maybe we can get that on the screen.
And Dad, I like it all the suits.
Yeah, he had a lot of different suits in this.
One was all black, one had black and red, and that one.
Right, he starts with the blue and red one. Okay, so here it is. So if you look at it, it has the day and the month, but it has no years on it. Now, what's the first thing you see though when you look at the passport? What do you
The
see?
funny picture.
You see him. It's a funny picture of Peter Parker, right? So your attention's going to go there. But I was specifically looking for a year, and the years aren't on there. Now, why would you think the years wouldn't be on there? Any guesses?
Because they don't know what year it is.
They don't want you to know what year it is because this is coming out very close to Avengers Endgame. And remember what happened in Avengers Infinity War?
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man disappeared, right?
Yeah,
And
and all that black stuff.
and Nick Fury disappeared. And so they don't want you to know whether this movie is before or after.
And one of the intros you said you were writing to Vanos, and like
Right.
you were writing, and you wanted to make the Last Jedi disappear.
Right. But the point here is they don't want you to know whether this is occurring before or after Infinity Wars and Endgame and everything else. Now, that's all well and good, but Tom Holland, the actor who's playing Peter Parker in Spider-Man, is obviously older in this film than he looked in the Avengers films. He's more muscular, he's a little taller, his face is filled out more. So to me, this is obviously, I mean, if they're going to try to make this take place before those, they're going to have a hard time with the way he looks. He looks older to me in this. But that's interesting that they try to do that, and they also try to divert your attention with the funny picture of him, which is the first thing you would look at. I was looking at the year specifically so I could maybe try to figure out where this was going to play in the Avengers. All right, so let's talk about Nick Fury and Mysterio for a minute. Nick Fury is in this, and does that mean he didn't disappear at the end of Avengers and what have you? And Mysterio also looks like a hero in this, and he's normally a villain. My suspicion here is Mysterio has powers where he can create illusions and things like that. So my guess is that part of this movie is an illusion created by Mysterio. So perhaps Nick Fury could be part of that illusion. Maybe he's not really there. He might be, but maybe he's not really there, and it's an illusion Mysterio is creating. Also, Mysterio could be creating a scenario and illusions with the elementals, the other villains, to create a situation where he can look like a hero to people. So that could be part of it.
And that's why he's called a mystery.
Well, yeah, that's his name. The root of his name is Mystery. Yes, certainly. I like the beginning. I liked how, again, we're going to get into the Avengers stuff a little bit because people are going to speculate, in my opinion, usually Iron Man, Tony Stark. Iron Man, though, if you remember the movie, he's usually the one that guides Peter Parker. He isn't there. Happy was there with the check. And the check was signed by Pepper Potts, but she's running the organization anyway. But Happy was there. Nick Fury is there to guide Peter, but Iron Man isn't. So again, I think people are going to speculate that does that mean Iron Man perished in the Avengers? You know, in the next film, does he perish, and is this after Endgame? So there's going to be a lot of speculation on that. I think actually the fact that they've tried to take the year out of this and everything else means Sony's trying to cooperate a little bit with Disney, though, because both movies are going to release very close to each other. So that's kind of interesting. All right, now, Lainey, you've never been a huge Spider-Man fan. We've established that. How does this look to you?
I think this trailer looks better than any of the other Spider-Mans I've seen. But you liked Spider-Man Into the Spider.
Yeah, what about the animated one we just reviewed, Into the Spider-Verse? Does it look better?
It was I think this one looks a little bit better,
Right.
actually.
This one for me looks better than the first film with Tom Holland. I was excited about him taking the role, and I was excited to see that film. But again, it played a little bit too much like Saved by the Bell for me. It was a little too. It was a little too set. The Homecoming film. It was a little too high schoolish and whatever. I know he's a high schooler, what have you, but I still think he needs to be out there being Spider-Man, and that was lacking a little bit in lieu of these other pieces. This one looks a little more. It looks a lot of fun. They're in Venice. They're out in Europe. There was the one scene with the Tower of London. That's where the fire elemental could be, because there's a lot of that going on. So I think it's kind of cool that they're going over there. You know, these films are sort of taking off on some of the 80s films by John Hughes. And so, you know, he did things where he took films to Europe, you know, settings of films to Europe. So maybe that's, I don't know if that's what they're going for here or not. But interesting, and it looked good to have that kind of a setting. So I agree with you. That looked like a lot of fun. Now, on the other hand, you are a huge Spider-Man fan. So how did this look to you?
Funny.
You excited for it? Mm-hmm. And Lainey, do you want to see this?
Yeah.
Okay. And for me, I've been a fan of Spider-Man for a long time, and I'm very I'm certainly a hard critic on my Spider-Mans and my Peter Parkers. And I did make a case for the fact that I thought that in the Into the Spider-Verse movie, that Peter Parker was my favorite Peter Parker Spider-Man combination. I'm not talking about the Miles Morales right now. I certainly liked that Spider-Man, but I'm talking as far as Peter Parker and Peter Parker Spider-Man, I thought that was the best interpretation that I'd seen yet. I was excited to see Tom Holland in the role. I've liked him in the Avengers films more than I liked him in Homecoming. I'm interested to see this one. It looks like he's grown into the role a little bit. Two specific instances. One when Happy was kind of talking to Aunt May, and they were flirting, and he was like, "What just happened here?" I really liked that. I also liked at the very end when the one kid is talking about how cool Spider-Man is, and then Peter Parker walks up and he insults him basically, and Tom Holland kind of gave the thumbs up, and he got it. He was in the know, and it was a really cool response. So I kind of thought some nice little subtleties that he's playing here now, you know. So I think that might be kind of cool. Yummy or crummy for you, Lainey?
I'm giving it a yummy.
Cool. Yummy or crummy for you, Colton?
Yummy.
Yummy. And yummy for me. I think this is a step in the right direction as far as the Spider-Man franchise goes. And it was a great trailer. For a teaser trailer, we got a lot, I thought.
Yes.
So it looks good.